Alright, so today's video we're going to do the oil pressure bypass mod. And I'll explain what that is when we actually go do it, but first we gotta drop the oil, drop the pan, pull the timing cover, pull the valve cover, and then we can go through it. Alright, so now that we've got to the timing cover and the timing cover's off, we've got to take off this plate to get to the pressure relief valve. Alright, so now that we got that off, that right there is the oil pressure relief valve. So the way that works is when the system reaches a certain PSI, it basically just pushes open this thing and bleeds the pressure off so that the system doesn't just infinitely build pressure. Anyone who's driven these cars knows that we start them and they get about 55 to 60 PSI of oil pressure. But then when they're warm and you're sitting and idling in traffic, we can run as low as like 10 PSI at operating temperature. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify this pressure relief valve to give us about 15 to 20 PSI more pretty much everywhere. So you'll start the car and instead of being 55 to 60, it'll be 75 to 80. But then at operating temperature sitting in traffic, you're idling at 25 or 30 PSI of oil pressure. And that'll make sure that the bearings in something like a racing engine stay alive. Like for regular daily driver, it's not really necessary. If it was necessary, well then none of these cars would have survived, you know, the hundreds of thousands of miles that we've all put on them. Right? They are just fine the way they are, but in this kind of instance, when you're pushing on them, it's really just kind of better to have a little bit extra. So that's why I'm doing that. I'm only doing it to the nitrous car. There's no point in doing it to any of the other ones. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to knock that out, and you just get a screwdriver and you pop that out. And once it pops out, you have that, basically. And what we're going to do is we are going to, there is a slight hole in that, and behind it is a plunger, and the size of that hole determines the pressure at which everything opens. So the bigger the hole, the less pressure it will take to open the valve. And if the hole is smaller, it will take more pressure. So what you do is you take an 1/8 inch NPT tap and you tap that hole. It is pretty much already the right size. You do not drill it out. Just run a tap in there as far as you can and call it a project. And then you get yourself a fitting. I've already done one. And basically an NBT socket head fitting. And then what you do is you drive that into here as tight as you can. And you drill the center of it out at 13/64. And then reducing that hole size is what gives us that extra pressure. And then you just reinstall this and put the timing cover back together and put it all back on the car. And that's basically what we're doing. So I'm going to get everything all cleaned up. And then I'm going to put this in the timing cover and reassemble everything. And then just put the car back together, put some oil in it, and see what we get. Okay, so it's all cleaned up, ready to go. And now we're just going to insert that back where it goes and give it a little tap with really anything. You can really use any NPT fitting, even if you used like a wrench style head. This is a little more low profile, but if you use a wrench style head, you probably have to grind that flush so that it clears the plate when you put it over. But other than that, literally anything you can put in there as an 1/8 inch NPT fitting will work 100%. And then as long as you just drill the hole through it, you're good. You wouldn't want to blank that right off, otherwise you'll have an infinitely pressure building oiling system that would probably just blow shit apart. Also, when you're doing anything like tapping or drilling, make sure you clean it out very, very, very well, especially if it's going anywhere near your oiling system, because the last thing you want is to have any of the chips from doing this mod go through your oiling system. That is probably the biggest risk you're actually taking with it. Okay, so it's all back together, and I got a new filter on, and we got oil in the motor now. And there was a bit of a side quest in the middle of this mission, so that'll be next week's video. But I've primed the oil system, and I ran it for a bit, so it's a little bit warm. So let's go see what this did for us. Alright, so let's start this up and see what we get. Oh, yeah, about 58. That's about the same as we always got. Yeah, 56, 57, 58. I guess that's like 54. Oh yeah, that's about normal. So I'll let it get warmed up here, and then we'll see what we get at warm, and then we'll put it on the two-step and see what we get on the two-step. Alright, so we're basically warmed up. We're at a quarter on the temp gauge. We've got 140 degrees Fahrenheit of oil temp. We've got 40 psi of oil pressure, and I'll tap the throttle a little. That was about 2,000 RPM, and it went up. So all right, so I'll put it on the limiter, and let's see what we get for oil pressure. About 80. I'm perfectly happy with that. 80 psi of oil cushion while I'm sitting on the line spraying. That'll help keep that crankshaft where it should be. So that'll about wrap it up for this video, and we'll see you next week.